Does this sound familiar? You pick up on a signal or a feeling, an emotional cue, a shift in tone or vibe in a conversation. You notice it, you name it or bring it forward, but the other person denies it. They say you're being too sensitive, or you're making it up, or you're overreacting, or that didn't happen. So you suppress the signal. The tension is real, and that's what we're exploring today. Welcome. This is Leading with Spirit, the show for the spiritual guide who knows there's more depth, more truth, more realness in the work you're here to do. Whether you're a healer, coach, or intuitive, this podcast helps you reconnect with your gifts, trust your path, and lead from soul, not stress. Hosted by me, Spirit Bird. I'm a master shaman, best-selling author, and founder of Holton Healing Arts. My intention is that each episode brings grounded insight into spiritual growth, energy mastery, and the real-life journey of walking as a spiritual leader. You can find me at Spirit Bird Official. Enjoy the show. Does this sound familiar? You pick up on a signal or a feeling, an emotional cue, a shift in tone or vibe in a conversation. You notice it, you name it or bring it forward, but the other person denies it. They say you're being too sensitive, or you're making it up, or you're overreacting, or that didn't happen. So you suppress the signal. But then it feels like you're ignoring your intuition. And at the same time, you're exhausted from picking up on so much. You do know that sometimes you need to build some resilience, but it also feels like if you do, it's like you're dismissing your intuition and all of your gifts. Welcome back to Leading with Spirit. I'm your host, Spirit Bird, and today we're talking about the experience of being called too sensitive. The tension is real, and that's what we're exploring today, how to honor your sensitivity without letting it run the show. On today's episode, we're going to talk about what to do when you keep picking up on energy, reading the room, and sensing things that other people dismiss that leave you doubting yourself, exhausted, or overwhelmed. I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to do. It's actually this one huge, ridiculously simple tip that helps you feel better right now so you can stop spiraling, quiet the confusion of which way to go, and start trusting yourself again. You'll finally get some energetic relief and feel more control of your own energy. But first, context. Your sensitivity is a doorway. It's probably been presented as a flaw, and there probably are times where it wasn't the best way to be. There probably were times where it's not that you were being too sensitive, but there was some resilience or some other skills that you were missing. Not that you were doing anything wrong. It's just that it's not that it's always the end all be all. So your sensitivity is a doorway, and part of the inquiry, part of the confusion is trying to figure out when it's actually helpful and when it's not helpful. So you can exit this confusion of trying to figure out whether to trust it or not and enter the discernment of when to trust it and respond and use it as opposed to when to set it aside. Many empaths and spiritually gifted folks have been told they're too emotional, too much, too sensitive. So for most of us that have experienced this, we either shrink or we question ourselves. We try to build thicker skin, but we end up feeling like we've abandoned something sacred in the process. We notice the signal still, but it turns into days of questioning. If that's you, today's episode is a chance to really shift that pattern again in a really simple way. So where I want to start is what it really means to be an empath. Empathy is, it's not just a personality trait. To me, I think of it as a gift, and anybody can have this gift. We all have access to empathy. Some of us come in with empathy really strongly ingrained, and some of us come in without a lot of natural access to it. For a lot of us, though, it's an experience. It's an energetic reality. Empaths don't just notice emotions. We feel them in our own bodies. And if it feels before we're aware, it feels like those emotions are ours. Feeling somebody else's, confusing it for our own, or even if we know it's not our own, we still feel it in the body, and sometimes we don't really want to have that feeling. That means if someone near you is stressed or angry or grieving, you might take it on without realizing it, or you realize it, but you can't get yourself out of it. So you might leave a conversation feeling exhausted, but not really understanding why. And of course, this isn't a weakness. And I want to say that I've even spoken about it before. There are two sides. You can be an empath and be in a distortion, be in a wounded version of that. But today I want to speak about it from the gifted version. So it's not that it's a weakness or a flaw or something that is a curse. It's just that the sensitivity hasn't been trained. It's like having this high-end sound system with the volume turned all the way up. Everything feels too loud. It's designed to have a lot of subtleties, but it's just blasting. So until you learn how to tune the knobs, that's what this path is about. That's what this doorway is. And your ability to feel deeply is definitely not the problem. It's the lack of energetic boundaries and having tools to support that gift. Not having those is what's actually creating the overwhelm. So I want to talk to you today about how to stay in the gift of it, not to experience it as being a problem, but also not to have to be at the whims of it and overwhelmed by it. So let me name this core struggle. You pick up on everything, tone changes, unspoken tension, the feeling that somebody's just off, what people want but aren't saying. You probably got really good at noticing these things early in life because you were open, you were sensitive, you could feel them, or you had to. It can certainly be a survival instinct, but now your system's overloaded. You're tracking everything. You want to speak up, but when you do, people tell you you're overreacting. So you silence the signal, but then you doubt yourself. What if I was imagining it? Am I being dramatic? Or you notice that you're pushing it down, and so then you're mad at yourself that you constantly feel like you're having that experience. This is the moment most empaths get stuck. And I want to offer a new way forward, because being sensitive doesn't mean you're wrong. It certainly doesn't mean that the world around you needs to change. That's part of the trap. But it also doesn't mean that you have to act on every signal. So sensitivity, I want to create some space between sensitivity and reactivity. Let's go back to the sound system analogy. Imagine you have this high-end sound system with every frequency tuned to pick up the most subtle vibration, but you don't know how to work the knobs, so everything's too loud. That doesn't mean the sound system is broken. It means you need to learn how to work with it. In this case, learning how to tune your system, learning how to filter and interpret what you're receiving without letting it dysregulate you. Meaning, sometimes actually, this is where I'm going to do a whole flip. This is where the mind can be really helpful. A lot of us experience struggle with expressing our emotions. We feel them really deeply, but when it comes to them coming out, it's hard for us to describe them. It's hard for us to describe how they feel, or we can say it, but it feels like there's a disconnect. So it feels like if I say my feelings, but I'm not like spilling over or crying or having this whole emotional outburst, that it must mean that I'm not really feeling them. And that's not necessarily true. So this is where I want to create some space. Sometimes actually just saying the thing, but creating some space between naming it and fully feeling it is all you need to do. This is one of the biggest turning points for really highly sensitive people. You can trust your intuition and develop discernment about what to do with it. You can receive information without needing to immediately react overthink it, start questioning it, or here's a big one, prove that you're right. So I'm going to give you this tip, and honestly, it's so simple. It's going to change your world. Hey, quick pause. If you've been feeling interested in your spiritual gifts or confused by them, or maybe you're actually really intuitive and you're just looking for what to do next, I made something for you. It's called A Course in Spiritual Gifts and Soul Healing, and it's basically the guide that I wish I had when all of this stuff was coming in. Everything from the context of what's actually happening in my life and with my gifts to how to really hold my gifts and anchor them in life in a clear and grounded way. We start off with a sacred reset, helping you get connected to yourself again, out of overwhelm and into your gifts right away. We cover things like work-life balance. I go deeply into the energy archetypes so you can deepen your own inner knowing and learn better communication and relational skills in a really magical way so you have deep, beautiful relationships. And then, of course, we go deep into the soul gift process where you do a healing journey alongside of opening your spiritual gifts and learning how to use them every day and for the rest of your life. It's a beautiful course. And my favorite part about it is you can do all of this without having to be perfect or having to constantly be more spiritual. So if that's something that your soul's been nudging you towards, you can find out more information at holtonhealingarts.com/the course. Now back to the show. So first, what to look at practically. Again, going back to the scenario from the beginning, you notice something in your partner's tone. You bring it up and then they shut down. You feel dismissed and start doubting yourself. So instead of spiraling into self-blame or fighting to prove what you sensed, I want you to try this. Just think, okay, my system picked up on something. I don't have to override it. But I also don't need them to validate it in order for it to be real. Then just sit with it and get clear on what's yours and what's theirs. You don't need to go into if what you were picking on was accurate or not. You just need to acknowledge you picked up on something, and that's enough. You don't have to question whether it was real or not, whether if it was right or not. And from there, you get this space and this freedom to actually get some space from it. This gives you the space to be able to say, either way, that's not mine. So now instead of being entangled with, oh my gosh, well, was I feeling the right thing? Or did I misinterpret what I was feeling? Or was it actually my feeling? Or is it their feeling? Or did it really happen? Am I making it up? Am I being too sensitive? All of that spiral, that's you and theirs energy mixed together. That's not clear boundary. And so you go from it being about the thing you picked up on to being this whole mess of doubt and questioning. So just acknowledge you did pick up on something. And it doesn't have to be validated in order for it to be real. You don't need to know if it was right or not. Now you can give it back to them. You get space to go back to your own experience. That gives you so much power back. And that is how you build resilience without bypassing your gift. So let me give you a few examples of what this might look like. You walk into a room, you feel instant tension. By the way, I just want to name in this moment, my ear is ringing, just to name that. So if something's happening for you that's related to that, I just want you to know. Let me start over though. So you walk into a room, you feel instant tension. Nobody said a word, you can just feel there's tension in the room. Your body tightens, you want to leave. That is the version of this that you want to shift as you walk into the room. You notice there's tension. You can just acknowledge, I notice there's tension. You don't have to go up to everybody and say, I notice there's tension. Do you notice there's tension? Am I feeling this? Am I just making it up? Does it feel like there's tension here? You don't have to go to everybody and try to solve the tension. Just, hey, there's tension. I noticed it. I don't need to be part of this tension. And instead of you having to want to leave, now you have space and you can just release that tension. You've named it. That's enough. Another example, let's say a friend tells you about their hard day, and for the rest of the night, you feel heavy and anxious. You almost feel like it happens to you, or you keep playing out in your brain what they could have done differently or how they can get out of it. I want you to notice, of course, that you're doing it. Instead of beating yourself up, I want you to just notice the gift, validate it, name it. Oh, I am trying to solve the problem for them. And again, like validate it. Let that be okay. Just naming it, that's what's happening. Now ask yourself, what is it that I am feeling? Or if that's hard because you still can't separate yourself from that, ask yourself, what were you feeling before that conversation? And give yourself space to tune into that, because you're so sensitive and empathic. If you tune into the version of you before it happened, your empathy is going to naturally absorb that version. So you're going to get right back to yourself really quickly. If you are bringing something forward or you name the tension and somebody reacts and they're like, don't take it personally, even though your mind can know not to do that, the truth is your system probably already has. So I just want you to name that for yourself. I took that personally. Now you have this space between you and it. So instead of beating yourself up about, did I pick up on the wrong thing? Am I being too sensitive? Are they lying to me? They're being avoidant or they're being dismissive. It's just like, I took it personally, but not with this, like, I did a bad thing. It's just, that's what happened. And now you have this space between the thing you picked up on and all of that confusion. So I took it personally. I can give it back. And imagine really just releasing it. If you've relating at all to any of this, you have been told you're too emotional, you care too much, you're too sensitive, all of that stuff, right? What has also happened for you is you've learned to either shut down to protect yourself. So that means like, well, I have to be away. I can't be around people. Their shit's too much, or they need to get their shit together so I can come back around them. So you've either learned to shut down, which can be helpful for a little while, but it doesn't make your life very good. Or you've learned to over-explain, which also creates more invalidation, more confusion, and honestly, it drives people away. It's coming from a place of frustration for being misunderstood, from being actually lied to. Over-explaining just makes it worse. So again, I want you to validate yourself and then create that space between it. Get clear on what's yours and what's not, and then don't try to explain or justify yourself. This is really the key here. This is where you can just own it. This is what I experienced. Not that what I experienced was accurate or right or wrong. This is what I experienced, period. That's the end. And then stay in it. So if you're experiencing that confusion, again, it's just a sign that you have this energetic openness, you have the sensitivity, not as in weakness, but as in that you're very tuned in. And you haven't learned how to work with it, or you're in a place where you're asking to up level how to work with it. And unfortunately, a lot of people haven't experienced that, and that's why it can feel like a curse. But again, here's the thing. Empathy is a spiritual ability. You're not over emotional. You're not overreacting. You're just highly attuned, but it's not your job to track everything. So just acknowledge that you've tuned into it, and then you can let it go, right? So that is what I really want you to take away from today. And I teach a lot of different ways that you can tune in or refine your system so you're not always reacting, you're just responding. You can discern when or how, all of the details. We can get really into the depths of this. But again, I want you to really practice just this one thing first, just naming like the most literal interpretation of what happened without the frame about who's right or who's wrong or who's good or who's bad or any judgment behind it for the other person or for you. Just name that experience, tune in to what's yours and what isn't, and then return to yourself. That's what it's all about. That's how you get nervous system safety. That's how you get emotional boundaries. And then you get clear on how your energy moves so you can start to track why it's doing it, when it's helpful, when it's not. You can exit the pattern of feeling misunderstood or seeing things that need fixed and feeling like nobody cares, because you can be clear about when is the right time to use it and when isn't. You can start practicing discernment on how to get permission on what to share and when. And again, from there, you begin to reclaim your sensitivity as a powerful spiritual intelligence that it is. This is a sacred gift. It does not make you better than other people. It does not make you weaker than other people. It's what allows you to hold deep space for others, to feel truth even when it isn't spoken, to connect to spirit in really profound ways, and to see through emotional confusion and find clarity. That's part of the path of the empath. And so it's not something to hide. It's something to honor. And again, it's not anybody else's job to honor it in you. It's your job to honor it in yourself. That's all you have to do. If you notice yourself expecting other people to praise you for it or change on account of it, then you need to start at the beginning again, because now you've gotten off track. Now you're outside of yourself looking for validation. You need to come back in. So again, one shift you can make today. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Is this mine? I know that sounds overly simple. If it's not yours, come back to the last time you could feel what was. If it's sticking around, breathe, visualize it leaving your body, returning back to your own energy. And again, sometimes that just means by tracking back to the last time you felt like you were just in your experience and in your feelings. Or you might track back to your energy again by just doubling down on this practice and acknowledging, oh, I'm just in somebody else's energy. That's just what's happening. And again, as you do this regularly, it's going to help retrain your nervous system to recognize your own energetic signature so that you can tell when you're absorbing other people's stuff. You can start to control those permissions of when you're allowing somebody else's energy in, when you're pushing your own energy out too far, when you're unclear why, what is causing you to do it. All of that stuff you can go deeper into, but that's all key in making this gift actually feel like a gift, and you being able to be in control of it instead of being controlled by it. So if you've ever felt like your sensitivity is too much, I want you to hear this. You were not meant to shut it down, and you also weren't meant to prove yourself. That's not part of the training. That's not part of what it's all about. You're just meant to learn how to use it. That's literally all it is. So give yourself a little bit more space around that. This will help you exit the confusion, find your clarity again, get your peace back again. Because when your gift of empathy is reclaimed, you become powerful in the best way. Clear, compassionate, connected, boundaried, sovereign, powerful. And that's what I want you to be feeling. And that's what you do get access to. Thanks for tuning in to Leading with Spirit. If this episode spoke to you, if you got a little bit of clarity, please share it with a friend who needs the reminder that sensitivity is sacred and you can take a breath. and you do get to have relief. Otherwise, see you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed the show, would you subscribe and leave us a review? Let us know you did at Spirit Bird Official. We love to support our listeners. And if you enjoyed the show, please share it with someone else who would also enjoy it. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.